homes kind of suck.
This stupid house process, I wish I never did it. It was the biggest regret of my life.
I'm building a tiny home, and I would like to preface by saying don't do it.
Instagram made it look like a dream, but reality is a cramped nightmare. Thousands of Americans are facing bitter regret after buying tiny homes. Today, we expose the dark side of this trend and the heavy price of minimalism. Let's get into it.
I'm going to rip all my hair out. Okay, so for context, here's the cliff notes. If you've ever wanted to tiny live, take it from someone who learned the hard way and who did it for technically 2 years, but it was less than that we lived in it. It is horrible. The amount of social media that I see glamorizing tiny living, I'm sure that works for some people. I now know that there's a right and a wrong way to do it. But honestly, no one talks enough about how horrible it can be tiny live. I'm currently about to pull my hair out because we got an RV to tiny live in temporarily to move across country, knowing we were going to sell it down the line to put towards a house, which is what we're doing right now. It depreciated over 80% in 2 years. I want to pull all my hair out.
I mean, the V in RV stands for vehicle, and vehicles depreciate. So losing 80% in 2 years is brutal. But honestly, what did people expect? You're treating a vehicle like real estate and then acting surprised when the market doesn't.
She ate in your cars! I didn't expect us to stay in that!
But just wait until you see what's inside.
That's it. Here's the couch. And here's the whole kitchen. And that's it. This is apparently the second bed. And that's the other half of the second bed. So apparently we're supposed to put a person there and a person there. And the rest of us in that thing. I don't know.
Oh my God, I don't think 4 people and 2 dogs could survive in that tiny house. Whoever designed this place clearly forgot they were building a home for actual human beings.
I live in a tiny home, and here are 5 reasons why I hate it. Number 1, since it's only 399 square feet, I hear every single noise that goes on outside. So if a tiny tree branch falls, I hear it, and it sounds like it's in the house. Number 2 is the water heater. My shower literally only gets hot for like 5 minutes. After that, it's cold because it only fits such a small water heater. I haven't looked into it to see if I can make the water heater bigger, but I need to do that ASAP because it's horrible. Number 3 is the AC. So I have 2 mini splits, one in the downstairs bedroom and then one in the living room area right by the staircase, and I'm a hot sleeper, so I would have wished that I would have gotten the other mini split inside of the loft area where I'm sleeping because I have to have a fan directly on me. Number 4 is it took me forever to figure out how I could get Wi-Fi inside of my house because I was using my parents' Wi-Fi, and since the top of the roof is metal, it was very hard to share the Wi-Fi even though I'm so close to my parents. So I had to buy a specific thing and figure it out. But for a long time, it would cut in and out, and I would never have any Wi-Fi or service.
I swear people have started accepting stuff they'd never tolerate in a normal house. You get 5 minutes of hot water, the loft never stays comfortable, and now you're troubleshooting Wi-Fi because of the roof. At that point, I'm sitting there thinking, why am I paying to make my own life harder?
We are currently living in the trailer, but we did live in the tiny house for 3 months while we remodeled the trailer, and honestly, it was unbearable. Let me show you.
As you can see, there is pretty much zero storage in here. There's no countertop. Every time I was making dinner, it was such a hassle. All those two shelves, this one is way too high. Can't really store anything. I also don't have any real kitchen cabinets.
And my parents-in-law will be spending 6 months here. I want them to feel like they're not living in a shed. Yes, it's a 10 by 24 shed turned into a tiny house. But that does not mean that you have to feel like you're living in one, right?
It's just no storage, no closet, no nothing.
So the only thing where you can put your clothes is this 3 little compartment thingy, and then under the bed. That's just no way to live.
So my plan is to put also some high cabinets next to the bed, maybe some hanging storage and some hanging cabinets on top of the bed. I don't think there's anything I can do in this bathroom. That's just what it is.
I mean, that's just the first thing that came to my mind. I'm pretty sure there's 1 million more things that I hate about living in a tiny house. It wasn't that bad, but it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad.
Honestly, if you're stuffing your clothes under the bed because there's no closet and barely any counter space, that's going to get old fast. Sure, you can add cabinets later, but having to find storage for basic stuff tells me the space was probably too small to begin with.
Black people don't want tiny homes. Black people don't want tiny homes. Black people don't want to live in trailers. Black people don't want to live in a remodeled bus. I'm so tired of trying to sell me this idea that living minimalistically is exactly what everybody should be. No, that is privilege. The only reason you're okay with living like that is because you went your whole life with excess, too much, extra, a lot. Man, I grew up in a 2-bedroom apartment with 3 siblings, 2 parents, and a whole bunch of aunties and uncles living with me at any given point. Do not try and regulate me to a box. That sounds like prison.
I think people underestimate what extra space actually buys you. It's not just another bedroom, it's privacy. It's somewhere for the kids to play without taking over the living room. It's having family over without everybody sitting on top of each other. So when someone says, you don't need that much space, I think the real question is, who gets to decide what enough means?
Everyone should be really insulted that tiny homes is a trend just because we can't buy houses that are decent sizes anymore. Like, they're trying to sell us tiny houses and be like, look at how cute it is to have this tiny little house. It's really trendy right now. Our parents used to joke that if you fucked up enough in life, you would end up in a van by the river. And now a lot of people buy vans to go travel the U.S. because they can't afford a home. And that's like a goal for them. Like, a lot of people can't afford a van by the river.
Think about it for a second. It's pretty backwards. A normal house becomes too expensive. People start buying smaller and smaller spaces. And then we're told this is the new American dream. I don't know. If your budget is forcing the decision, is it really a choice?
My parents bought me a house for my 18th birthday, and I know you're probably thinking I'm super lucky, but that is not the case here at all, because what happened was literally the morning I turned 18, they walked into my bedroom, they held up the house keys, and they're like, get out of our house. I was super excited about it until we pulled into the driveway, and I realized the house they bought me was tiny. It was a little over 1,300 square feet. And now keep in mind, the house I grew up in was over 6,000 square feet. We had a basketball court, a swimming pool, movie theater, like anything you could think of. We had it in a bowling alley. And then I am gifted this starter home. Like it's like builder gray, like very basic, no amenities. And that was just kind of like a culture shock for me. And as we're walking through this house, I looked at them and I said, are you really going to make me live here? And they said, what do you mean? And I said, you're going to make me move into this house, like move out of the house that I've grown up in. That was like over 6,000 square feet into this tiny little place. It's just kind of messed up that they raised me with one lifestyle and then expect me to just completely do a 180 and live like a middle-class American.
I love how the tiny house is 1,300 square feet and the old house had a bowling alley. At that point, we're not talking about tiny living. We're talking about someone discovering that most people don't grow up with a movie theater in the house.
I would not recommend buying a shell as a tiny home. I be trying to tell y'all, I'm trying to warn you, unless you can do the electrician work, the plumbing work, and all the carpentry yourself, please don't try to get one of those tiny shed conversions or the shipping container conversions. It takes a lot of skill to make that into a home. You have to do the insulation, you have to do the drywall, you have to do all of the plumbing, you have to do all the electrical work, you have to do the flooring, you have to get appliances in there, and you have to get furniture. It ends up being a lot more money than it's worth when you can get an RV that's ready to go, move-in ready, all of your appliances, all of your electricity done, everything, and it's move-in ready. And it's probably going to be less than the price it's going to take for you to convert that tiny shed, and a whole lot less sweat equity to get it done. So do your research. And that goes for the schoolies too. Schoolies are very expensive to make, and they take a lot of time and a lot of skill. So really do your research before you decide to do that. A mobile home or an RV may be a better option.
The part I'd push back on is saying an RV or mobile home is automatically the better deal. Maybe it is for some people, but you still have to look at land, hookups, permits, maintenance, and financing. The real lesson is, don't compare the price of an empty shell to a finished home.
This Airbnb has the smallest oven, bro. Oh, dude.
Whoa, you are big.
This is another illusion.
Love you. I'm just gonna shut the door so I can get some peace and quiet.
Yeah, love you.
Yeah, so
We got grandma's TV right here. How much change is she?
Better find a mop, it's getting sticky in this bitch.
It is a secret door into a whole creepy ass basement. Don't know if you can see how old that carpet is.
Toilet there, and another toilet here.
Oh, look, another tiny home company going out of business. And this story has been repeated a million times because what happens is this. Every tiny home company that starts off goes out with a bang. They have a huge social media marketing campaign, and they make these homes very affordable and appealing to the masses. These people start collecting deposits and even full payments for these houses, and they get too big too fast. They can't keep up with the amount of orders that they've placed, and they get in over their heads because they won't say no when they can't do those homes. Sure enough, over time, you start seeing more and more people start making these complaints online about the tiny home they didn't get. And then the builders start making excuses on why they haven't gotten their tiny home. And then within a year, you see them file for bankruptcy. And some of them are very malicious, and they never intended to build these houses in the first place. They made these demos just to collect the deposits and skate out of town before they got caught. And eventually they do get caught.
And this is why I'd never judge a tiny home company by its Instagram page. A polished demo and a bunch of orders don't tell you whether they can actually fulfill them. If customers are already complaining about missed deliveries, that's the part I'd pay attention to.
If this is the first time you're seeing my face, my name is Misty, and I transitioned from a traditional home to a tiny home this year, and I'm going to talk about one reason that I feel like I made a major mistake. And while I'm going to talk about this, I'm going to sit here and have my cold brew coffee out on my front porch on a summer afternoon, enjoying this nice Texas weather. Now, back to the reason why I think I made a major mistake. And it's probably not what you're thinking. The one thing that I feel like I failed in is not doing this sooner. I mean, seriously, not doing this sooner, not downsizing and getting rid of all of the needless things and stuff in my life, and, you know, creating a smaller space for me to thrive. I really feel like I'm thriving in this, and there is not a day that has gone by in the almost 2 months that I have moved in that I feel like I made a mistake. So if this is even on your radar, if you have ever thought about downsizing to a tiny home, if you don't know where to start, if you're in the process of it, whatever it is, I'm just here to encourage you that, you know, I had a little bit of apprehension when I signed the closing papers on my home that I had built for me because I loved it. And I thought, Misty, what are you doing? But since the moment I walked through the doors of this house, I have felt nothing but complete and utter contentment. I mean, when I tell you, it is so nice to be able to have a place where I have everything that I need in close proximity and not have to worry about, cleaning a big area or having a whole lot of upkeep on the outside. Or it's so relaxing. It's so relaxing. And I'm not even saying that this is something that you can only do if you're single. I think this would be perfect for a couple as well, especially if you're nearing retiring age or if you have the desire to travel, whatever. I mean, I could go on and on, but that is the one mistake and regret that I have, is that I didn't do it sooner. So, cheers.
I get why she likes it, but I don't think I'd call that a mistake worth celebrating just yet. Less space means less cleaning, sure, but you're also giving up a lot of room and convenience. Maybe it works for her. Would you actually make that trade?
Hello, this is Erica with Northwest Tiny Homes, and this is our newest home on the lot, the Aspen Bunkhouse. Come check it out. We get asked all the time if we have any 2-bedroom options, and this is our first 2-bedroom option on the lot. What makes it so cool too is that you have the option to add a loft like we've done here, or you can keep it single level. This is our living room space. You would normally get a built-in entertainment center here on this wall. We opted out of that, but it is an option by default if you like it. And then we have this dining room area here in the corner. Tons of nice window light throughout this main living space in the front part of the home. This is the 2nd bedroom, and I know it's small, but it is mighty. So we are setting it up as an office. We have our little pet bed here right by the lower window as well. You can get built-in bunks that would have that lower window kind of where the lower bunk is. So you can get that if you do want to use it as a true bunk room. Otherwise, you can use it like we have as a flex space, an office, extra closet room, whatever your heart desires.
$81,000 for this little house? I'm sorry, but that's where I start doing the math. 81 grand for a tiny space where you're still giving up a huge amount of room compared to a normal home. At that price, I'm not thinking affordable. I'm wondering how tiny somehow got this expensive.
I'm building a tiny home, and I would like to preface by saying don't do it. I think that's all I had to say. Thanks for that.
So my uncle is a little out there, you know what I'm saying? Sorry, I had to turn on the lamp because y'all couldn't see my face good. So like I was saying. So anyway, my uncle, he's into them hippy dippy trippy girls, you know what I'm saying? So one of them owned one of them tiny houses, you know what I'm saying? And everybody's like, oh, those are so freaking cute, and they conserve the energy, and I want one. I went over to her miniature humble abode, okay? I was looking around like, damn, this thing fire. I want me one of these. I'm a little bit too claustrophobic, but this thing looked nice. Until this happened. My uncle's friends, his name is Drug, but his real name Doug, but he do that stuff. Like, I literally seen this man fall like 40 feet out of a tree and pop up like it was nothing. Yeah. Anyway, Drug goes to the bathroom, and everybody in the house, in the miniature humble abode, bruh, thing was cool. And then I got a whiff, and it just started getting worse and worse and worse, to the point where we had to evacuate the tiny home because it smelled like a dead animal. Because you want to know why? It's not like Drug was just, going taking a shit in a normal person's house. The house is small. It's tiny house. So when somebody shits in a tiny house, you're gonna know. So for anybody who is thinking for a split second, oh, the tiny houses look so nice. They look so great. Let me get one. Just know when you take a shit, everybody gonna know. There ain't no hiding that shit.
Sometimes you just look at these tiny home trends and let out a long sigh. People think it's so cool and freeing, but you just end up turning yourself into an accidental prisoner inside a high-end cardboard box. There is no real freedom when even your most basic bodily functions are completely exposed to everyone right in front of you.
My husband said I'm very ungrateful. Me, ungrateful, okay? He bought me a house, and I didn't like it. Yes, I did not like the house. I told him, the house is too small. I do not like it. And he started going off on me. He goes, you know what, Jessica, you're very ungrateful. I cannot believe that, I even put a brand new roof on it and everything. And you are so ungrateful. Yeah, but the house is so tiny that what's going to fit in there, first off? Okay? What is going to fit in there? I'm going to show you guys the house. You guys are probably like, you are ungrateful. But you're going to agree with me. Or you better agree with me. Right here. This is the house. I don't even have a door. Like, are you serious? He goes, oh, I built a new roof and everything. And yeah, where's the door, guy? Where's the door? In fact, I was sitting on top of this while I was recording. What house did you buy me again? Because, yeah. So, yeah. Tell me I'm ungrateful. Go. Tell me I'm ungrateful.
Well, at least cleaning day only takes about 30 seconds.
There are 3 things that I regret in my tiny house build. First off is this fiberglass shower. I absolutely hate it. It's so generic and it's so plain. Not to mention when I ordered the shower pan, it came broken 3 times. Should have gone with something tied like this. I could have customized it and made it look so much better. Number 2 is this custom closet. As you guys have been seeing in these past few episodes, this thing has been an absolute nightmare. And lastly, planning out the electrical way better than I did. I think during the planning, I just overlooked the whole electrical and plumbing thing. So now that I'm actually building it, it's coming back to bite me in the butt. I did plan out things like where the lights were gonna go and the outlets, but the air conditioner and running the correct wires was a whole other story. Not to mention, we also moved the breaker box from the inside of the bathroom to the outside of the house because obviously that's dangerous.
Man, this is exactly why I wouldn't DIY a tiny house without seriously planning everything first. A shower and a closet are annoying mistakes, but electrical and plumbing? That's where things can get expensive fast. You save money doing it yourself, then one overlooked detail comes back and makes you pay for it twice.
This is the most affordable tiny home in San Antonio, Texas. $125,000 buys you this 2-bedroom home with 2 bathrooms, $4,000 down payment, and your mortgage payment would be $895 a month. Let's go check it out. Before we step inside, let's take a look at the driveway. It's a driveway for probably 1 car, maybe 2 if you park another one on the curb. No garage. Very minimalistic. As soon as you walk in, you probably see the entire house, but I would probably use this room for your dining table. There's a loft upstairs, so I would use the upstairs for your living room. This is gonna be your kitchen. Everything is a little smaller, as you can see, even the sink and the dishwasher. This is where your stove is gonna go, and then you have a space for your fridge on this side. It's gonna be a regular size fridge, and you have some room here for, maybe like a pantry or maybe some storage, a desk. And then right next to it, you have your primary bedroom. Small room, but believe it or not, you can actually fit a king size bed if you lay it sideways. And yeah, this closet is tiny.
$12,000 down and a sub $900 payment for a 2-bedroom tiny home. Victor is out here making San Antonio sound like a complete dream. But let's be real. That space is way too tight for 2 full bedrooms.
Tiny homes kind of suck unless you do these 3 things. You got to understand, first off, tiny homes are a lifestyle. The people who love them, they really love them. But if you're not willing to change your lifestyle, you're probably not going to enjoy a tiny home. Second thing, you got to be ready to downsize. Do you really need 50 shirts, 10 kitchen countertop appliances? Like, the more you have, the more it's going to feel crammed, guys. So you got to simplify it, and you'll have more freedom. Now, 3 might be the most important. What is your why? Why do you want a tiny home? Is it to travel? Is it financial freedom? Whatever it is, it needs to be strong, or else you're probably not going to really enjoy living in your tiny home.
I think he's right about this. A lot of people aren't choosing tiny homes because that's their dream. They're choosing them because a normal house is too expensive. Then they convince themselves that living smaller was the plan all along. And if you want to keep looking at what people are really giving up to afford a home, stick around.
You guys, I'm literally crashing out right now. This stupid house process, I wish I never did. It was the biggest regret of my life. We had paid for the appraisal like weeks ago. The mortgage company, it's been such a rough time trying to get anything done with them. I thought we were seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. We had the appraisal done. They asked where we wanted the title done at. We just found out that they will not cover our home under a loan because our salesman lied to the mortgage company and said our home was built by them when it wasn't. They were just a dealer. And she said now, like, we're gonna have to start the process over and get a new appraisal. And I told her straight up, I was trying so hard not to be mean, but I said, I'm not paying another $1,000 for an appraisal. I said, you guys can take this house and take it back. Like, I'm done. Like, it is taking everything in me not to just show up there and just, I can't believe I'm gonna post this on the internet.
So have y'all heard of Tesla tiny homes? Because I didn't until the other day. My dad said as soon as my grandfather passes away and we get the inheritance that we're getting, well, he's getting, he wants to bulldoze our house and replace it with 2 Tesla tiny homes. Red flags everywhere in that statement. I was like, I know we need to replace the house because it's falling apart. He has no idea I'm trying to move out. But in the end, it is my land when he passes on, so I want a house with a basement on it, and then I can, like, turn the land into a, brain fart. Homestead. I want a homestead, but I also want a basement. Anyway, that's what I want. But you can't really do that with a tiny home. Well, not the basement part anyway. The homestead, yes. But he was telling me about these Tesla tiny homes and how they look like Airstreams. And I was like, that doesn't sound real. So last night I was waiting on Sims 3 to load. And I was like, you know what? Time to Google that tiny home thing Dad was talking about. The Google AI, which I hate, and Reddit, which I don't hate, both said that the Tesla tiny homes don't exist. And also, the Tesla website doesn't say anything about them either. So, yeah, I found out the truth last night, told Dad, protected him from a scam, protected my future land from being foreclosed on because of a scam. So that's good.
Honestly, this is exactly why AI scams are getting so dangerous. People see Tesla, watch one convincing video, and stop questioning it. If a product isn't on Tesla's own website, that's usually your answer right there.
I'm a mom of 2 and I live in a tiny home, and these are things that I hate in my tiny home. First thing is, we never thought about where to put a trash can. So, yeah, that's horrible. The next thing that I hate is how small our sink is, and that we don't have a dishwasher. The next thing that I hate is having to do laundry at family members' houses because we don't have a washer and dryer. So if I were to build a tiny home again, I would definitely make a spot for a washer and dryer, even if that's outside. I don't care. I know a lot of people are probably curious on our tiny home, and we actually just posted a YouTube video of like a whole tiny home tour, if you want to go check that out. At the end of the day, like, me and my husband literally built this with our 2 hands, and I love our tiny home. I brought both our kids home. This is like our home, and we made it a home, and I really, really love it. But of course, there's just little things that just, like, why didn't we think of? I'm not gonna have to worry about that for too long because we're actually building a house, and it's like an actual house, like a real house, like a big one. Stay tuned for that.
Okay, that would get old pretty fast. No dishwasher, a tiny sink, and then having to take your family's laundry somewhere else? I don't care how much you love the house. You'd probably start dreaming about a laundry room too, and with 2 kids, I can see why they're building something bigger.
The worst mistake that you can make when living in a shed house is not thinking about ventilation. Behind me is our old converted shed temporary house. I do not miss that thing at all. Was it an adventure? Yes. Would I do it again? Hell to the no. Unless I had to, I guess. I don't know. Usually they're a very small space. Air really needs to be moving because it can cause a lot of things that you don't think about. A lot of these things, they don't have vapor barriers in them. Very tiny space, a lot of moisture builds up. Mold issues, it can cause respiratory issues. So I definitely advise putting a bunch of windows, and I definitely suggest if you have a loft, using like a hole saw and making holes just to like keep that air moving. As far as the worst things, that's pretty much the first thing that came to mind. I'm sure I can think of some others if you guys have questions, or if that's something that you're going to be doing soon. If you don't know me, my name is Casey, and I share tips and tricks and things that I've learned along the way in the past 10 years of all kinds of crazy, off-grid, self-sufficiency, nutty stuff.
Yeah, she's not exaggerating about that. In a small enclosed space, moisture builds up fast, especially around a loft. And once condensation turns into mold, you're not dealing with a comfort issue anymore. That's a problem you really want to prevent before you build the thing.
Okay, I just found the worst thing about living in a small home, and it's probably not what you think it is. It is your dog getting sprayed by a skunk at 11 o'clock at night, and you don't have a garage, you don't have a shed, you don't have a front porch, you don't have a mudroom, you literally have nowhere to put him, so you have no choice but to stay up until like 2 o'clock in the morning, washing him multiple times and putting him in your only bathroom, which is right beside your bedroom. So now I have been smelling skunk since 11 o'clock at night, and my entire small home now smells like skunk. And I'm pretty sure we have the skunk living under the deck. So that was fun.
Man, that's brutal. In a normal house, a skunk spraying your dog is still a nightmare. But at least you can put the dog in the garage, laundry room, or somewhere away from the main living space. Here, the only option was the bathroom right next to the bedroom. That's the part people overlook with tiny homes. When something goes wrong, there's nowhere for the problem to go.
This is a capsule house. It doesn't cost $80,000, not even $50,000, or $20,000. That's right. This is the ultimate tiny capsule home. It comes fully furnished with all furniture and appliances included, 100% factory prefabricated, and can be shipped to every corner of the world. Installation takes just 48 hours. Say goodbye to rent and landlord restrictions. Your dream tiny home is right here.
No rent, no landlord, fully furnished, delivered anywhere, set up in 48 hours for just $18,000? They're practically selling the American dream with free shipping. At this point, I want to see the real invoice, not another pretty rendering. And let's look at an example of a girl who got scammed buying a house.
Here are 4 reasons why tiny homes are terrible investments. With housing costs at an all-time high and the Fed signaling rates will likely not be coming down anytime soon, many people have started looking at tiny homes as an option. But here's why that could be an unwise choice. Number 1, depreciation. While standard homes appreciate at 3 to 5% a year, you can expect a tiny home to depreciate similar to that of an RV. After just 3 years, expect to lose 30% of the original value, and after 10 years, you'll be down 62%. Number 2, expensive to build. A tiny home on average costs $300 to $400 per square foot to build, while a traditional home is closer to $150 to $200. You might say it's because you're cramming a lot into a small space, and I'd argue back saying, do you want to live crammed? Number 3, utilities. Tiny homes are typically set up to operate off-grid, which can have many drawbacks. When compared to a traditional home, they are 1, unreliable, 2, more expensive, and 3, a hassle to set up. Emptying black and gray water tanks is always going to be gross. Number 4, zoning and legal issues. This is probably my biggest concern with tiny homes. It can be extremely difficult to find somewhere to place it. With most governments classifying them as RVs, zoning is going to be a real headache. I understand the advantages of a tiny home, but owning one could put you further away from owning a traditional home, which historically speaking is one of the best investments you can make. If you're looking for more down-to-earth real estate advice, follow me.
Yeah, exactly. This is where the numbers really start to matter. You're paying $300 to $400 a square foot, watching it depreciate like an RV, dealing with off-grid headaches, and then fighting zoning laws just to park it legally. If you know someone who's seriously considering one of these, hit like and send them this video before they make a very expensive mistake.
Here is a quick PSA. We're noticing a lot of people on social media are being scammed by fake tiny home companies. Here's what to look for to make sure that you're working with a legitimate tiny home company. So a lot of people are seeing these really beautiful homes and they're under $50,000 and they think, man, that's a really good deal. I'm excited for this. And they just dive right in and pay a deposit and then they get ghosted and never hear from the company again. So to start, a lot of the time these houses are just way too good of a deal to be true. For $50,000, you can get a tiny home, but it is not the crazy spec'd out ones that some of these companies are claiming you can get for $15,000 or $20,000. Tiny homes are definitely affordable, but they're not that insanely cheap. Just that is not a thing. Second, most builders are going to require about 50% upfront to begin the project. They're not going to take just some small down payment. So look for that. A lot of times they're asking for $1,000 or $2,000 or $5,000 down, and that's the scam. They take that money and run. Also, most of the companies are going to be based in the USA. You want to make sure they actually have a physical location in the United States and are making these in the United States. And most Americans are not using WhatsApp for business communications. That's another big sign for scammers if they're trying to get you to communicate on WhatsApp. Speaking of that, it's really good to make sure that the manufacturer or the dealer that you're talking with can do video tours of the house while you're interested in purchasing it. They don't just have random stock photos or photos that they stole from a legitimate business. So be on the lookout for that and try to get a video chat with them if you're not going to go in and actually check the spot out in person. And it's tricky because a lot of these accounts look very legitimate and they will have a bunch of different profiles that are all talking to each other on social media and make it look like it's a very legitimate company. And they'll respond and they act friendly and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, they're actually not a legit company. It's crazy how deep that rabbit hole goes. So at the end of the day, if you think the deal is a little too good to be true or it just doesn't feel right, it probably is a scam. Be careful out there. There's a surprising amount of scammers in the tiny home space, which is kind of crazy because this is such a fun and good space to be able to provide affordable housing. And the fact that there's people out there taking advantage of this is kind of wild to me. And the social media platforms are doing nothing to crack down on it because as soon as one account gets shut down, then they just open up another one and repeat the process. So be on the lookout. Be careful. If you have any questions or need any anything cross-referenced, please let us know. We're more than happy to help any way we can. And yeah, stay safe out there.
He's getting at something I think a lot of people don't want to admit. Some people aren't choosing a tiny home because that's their dream. They're choosing it because a normal house is financially out of reach. And when the housing market forces you to shrink your expectations, it's pretty easy to convince yourself that the smaller option was what you wanted all along. That's not necessarily a lifestyle choice. Sometimes it's just the option you can afford.
So what if you paid hundreds of thousands of dollars for a tiny home and years later you had nothing to show for it? For months now, I've been investigating Tiny Heirloom, a Portland tiny home company. Our first report exposed dozens of complaints and lawsuits, a judicial ruling of financial elder abuse, and details about the company's owners who owe hundreds of thousands of dollars in unpaid Oregon taxes, according to the State Department of Revenue. Since then, I've received so many new calls and emails from other frustrated customers. Some are asking for a state investigation.
Where are these agencies that are supposed to protect us as consumers? Department of Justice, Oregon, come help us. They shouldn't be allowed to continue operating, doing this to people.
The Oregon DOJ denied my records request about Tiny Heirloom, citing an exemption for current or potential litigation. Other customers are still hoping the company comes good. Catherine Hicks paid $200,000 3 years ago. She couldn't believe when our reporting popped up in her algorithm.
It was just crazy. And so I think knowing that you're not alone is both a blessing and a curse because you realize, oh, you're not alone. I'm not the only one struggling with this, but oh, you're not alone. He's done this to other people.
I honestly don't know, but I've got a gut feeling that's never going to happen. One person says a tiny house shouldn't be over $100,000. Another's throwing out $200,000. Have you seen how fast prices have skyrocketed?
Don't buy mobile homes. That's not a class warfare thing. It's not anything. It's a simple math thing. They go down in value. When you put your money in things that go down in value, it makes you poorer. Why is this hard? So a mobile home is like a car you sleep in. It goes down in value. And so you don't go buy a $55,000 mobile home and then look up 10 years later and it's worth $10,000 and wonder why you're broke people. Don't do that. buy something that goes up in value. You're better off to rent. At least you're not losing while you're paying payments. When you pay payments on a mobile home, you're paying the payment and you're losing. And the problem with the stinking mobile home is they set it on a piece of dirt, and the piece of dirt goes up in value faster than the mobile home goes down, so it gives you the illusion you made money. You didn't. The dirt just saved you from your stupidity. So
this point is spot on, but we've got to add that agents love to blur the line between the value of the home and the land. A mobile home is a liability, not an investment. So people think they're financial geniuses when really the land underneath is just carrying all the dead weight of that crashing asset. Don't let aesthetic online photos trap you into a cramped, miserable reality. Think twice before trading your space for long-term headaches. Hit subscribe so you never miss the hidden truths behind viral trends, and see you in the next video.